6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lakshman Fonseca, read by Soundit Avam. The World Health Organization commends Sri Lanka has long surpassed its vaccination target. The Foreign Minister recalls Sri Lanka is committed to the values, principles and the objectives of the Commonwealth throughout its history. Strict guidelines on value-added services have been issued to mobile operators. A consignment of 20 railway passenger coaches supplied by Rail India reached the Colombo port. Plans are underway to fully vaccinate all the academic and non-academic staff of all the universities in Sri Lanka. In world news, underprivileged Afghans are selling their household items in the second-hand goods market. Sri Lanka has long surpassed the vaccination target of the World Health Organization, WHO. The WHO said over 50% of the population have now been fully vaccinated in Sri Lanka. The WHO has called for all countries to vaccinate 10% of their population by the end of September and 40% by the end of the year. In the context of supply constraints, the Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization recommends prioritizing vaccinations for healthcare and frontline health workers, the elderly and those with comorbidities. The WHO said that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's ambitious vaccination effort that spearheads Sri Lanka's COVID-19 response has long surpassed the WHO's targets. It is also likely to surpass its own target of vaccinating 60% of the population by 31st December with Sri Lanka's strong primary healthcare foundation. Meanwhile, it was also reported that over 100,000 people over 60 have not received their jabs, of which over 21,000 people are residents of Jaffna, 7,000 from Kandy, and 3,900 from Colombo. However, all elders over 60 and above have been vaccinated in the districts of Ampara and Puttalam. Sri Lanka reaffirmed its active commitment to dialogue and engagement with the Commonwealth. At a virtual meeting with the Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland in New York, Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Peiris recalled that Sri Lanka is a founding member of the Commonwealth. He said Sri Lanka remains proactive and committed to the values, principles and objectives of the organization throughout history. He also said Sri Lanka looks forward to further collaboration with the Commonwealth in a number of areas, including commerce, education, vocational training and climate change. The minister also stated that Sri Lanka has been successful in mangrove restoration and has emerged as a Commonwealth Blue Charter leader. Sri Lanka has recently initiated a climate and green economy focusing on food security-centric agricultural production and renewable energy. The Commonwealth is a celebration of diversity, with all of its member states enjoying a common objective, making it a unique and exhilarating, stated the Foreign Minister. The Foreign Minister also briefed Secretary-General Scotland on the steps taken by local institutions in the country with respect to reconciliation. He stressed that it was an ongoing process and it requires sufficient space for the local institutions to deliver on their mandates. The work done by these institutions cannot be replaced or taken over by external bodies, the minister added. The Telecommunications Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, TRC, says that a comprehensive framework and guideline will be imposed for consumer protection. The TRC said it should be adhered to by all the telecommunication operators to ensure consumer protection and security in terms of value-added services offered by the service providers. Accordingly, the TRC value-added services have been noted as a widely consumed aspect of overall services provided by telecommunication operators to its clientele. The TRC also said it has been noted a significant amount of customer complaints have been increasing over the years in terms of disputes of subscriptions as well as billing by the service providers. The TRC is optimistic when the above regulator has been implemented, a strict legal and regulatory framework for value-added services will be mandatory to all telecommunications operators. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. A consignment of 20 railway passenger coaches supplied by Rail India has reached the Colombo port. This consignment is a part of the contract to supply 160 passenger coaches to the Sri Lanka Railways. It was funded under the Indian line of credit of $318 million. The Indian High Commission in Colombo said, with this consignment, a total of 60 coaches out of 160 have been supplied to Sri Lanka, and 20 more coaches are ready to be shipped from India, in line with India's continuing commitment to assist the development of rail infrastructure in the island. The Indian High Commission added, the state-of-the-art India-made modern passenger coaches have been custom-made and built as per the requirements of the Sri Lanka Railways. India's overall development assistance to Sri Lanka is close to $3.5 billion. This includes projects and initiatives under lines of credit as well as grants, the Indian High Commission said. The chairman of the University Grants Commission, UGC, says plans are underway to fully vaccinate all the academic and non-academic staff of all the universities against COVID-19. The chairman of the UGC, Senior Professor Sampath Amaratunga, made this comment to the Government Information Department. According to the UGC chairman, a rapid vaccination program has been implemented in collaboration with the health authorities. He said both vaccines have already been given to the academic and non-academic staff members above the age of 30 years in all universities. The UGC has also implemented a monitoring system to assess the progress of the vaccination of the university staff below 30 and students in the universities. The universities are expected to reopen subsequent to the evaluation of the progress and with the guidelines of the health authorities, university vice-chancellors and other related parties, the chairman of the UGC added. That's local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
Sri Lanka has long surpassed the vaccination target of the World Health Organization, WHO. The WHO said over 50% of the population have now been fully vaccinated in Sri Lanka. The WHO has called for all countries to vaccinate 10% of their population by the end of September and 40% by the end of the year. In the context of supply constraints, the Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization recommend prioritizing vaccinations for healthcare and frontline health workers, the elderly and those with comorbidities.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watch Light.
Reputed doctors stress that vaccines won't make people infertile. Doctors said that it's a race against time to get the vast majority of the population vaccinated, and misinformation is causing hesitancy for getting shots. They added the infertility rumor that started in Europe late last year has been refuted by multiple scientific studies. They stress, referring to other studies that show pregnant women infected with COVID can be at a greater risk of death, hospitalization and serious complications compared with women who are inoculated.
World News.
Making headlines, the Ministry of Power in Singapore says job vacancies in Singapore are reported to be an all-time high. Underprivileged Afghans are selling their household items in the second-hand goods market. A new study ties the COVID-19 pandemic to an alarming increase in obesity in U.S. children. The Ministry of Manpower in Singapore says job vacancies in Singapore are reported to be an all-time high due to border restrictions. The ratio of job vacancies to unemployed persons increased to above 1 for the first time since March 2019. Manpower Minister Tan See Leung said the improvement in the labour market is a reflection of both businesses and workers adopting to the new environment and seizing new opportunities. The government will work with its tripartite partners to continue to support businesses and workers. Underprivileged Afghans are seen selling their household items in the second-hand goods market due to an escalating economic crisis after the Taliban's takeover. Sofa sets, carpets, kitchenware, old television sets, sewing machines and used rugs as well as beds are among the products on sale in the second-hand goods market. Traders in Kabul said the inability of banks to meet people's cash needs, unemployment of former government employees and a decrease in international aid are the factors escalating the economic crisis in the country. The World Bank, IMF and the US Central Bank have already blocked Afghanistan's access to international funds due to a lack of clarity on the country's governance structure in recent weeks. A new study ties the COVID-19 pandemic to an alarming increase in obesity in US children and teenagers. Childhood obesity has seen increasing for decades, but the new work suggests an acceleration last year, especially in those who already were obese when the pandemic started. Dr. Alison Goodman of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention said the pandemic appears to be worsening the nation's long-standing obesity epidemic and warns obesity can put people at risk for more severe illness after coronavirus infection. According to the survey, an estimated 22% of children and teens were obese last August, up from 19% a year earlier. Back to the headlines of the world news. The Ministry of Manpower in Singapore says job vacancies in Singapore are reported to be an all-time high. Underprivileged Afghans are selling their household items in the second-hand goods market. And a new study ties the COVID-19 pandemic to an alarming increase in obesity in US children. That concludes this bulletin of world news. And moving on to development news, a 5-year plan is scheduled to be implemented to uplift the tourism industry, which is badly affected by the pandemic. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said every country has had to take steps to suspend plans to boost tourism with the COVID epidemic. These countries are currently working to boost the tourism industry in line with health guidance. And that came to you in development news. Moving on to
Sports news.
New Zealand cricket's team is pulling out its first tour of Pakistan in 18 years, following a New Zealand government security alert. New Zealand cricket said in a statement that following an escalation in the New Zealand government threat levels to Pakistan and advice from NZC security advisors on the ground, it has been decided the Black Caps will not continue with the tour. New Zealand was set to play Friday in the first of 3 one-day international matches in Rawalpindi before moving to Lahore for 5 2020 international matches. The Sri Lanka Muslim Association held a summer social sports extravaganza for hundreds of people at Boyne Hill Cricket Club, Maidenhead, UK. The group, based at the Masjid Al Jannah in Stoke Road, organised the event every year to give community members a chance to take part in fun activities. Adults and children turned out in great numbers on August Bank holiday on Monday with an array of games, including a 7-a-side cricket tournament and a hotly contested tug-of-war taking place. Falil Marika from the Sri Lanka Muslim Association, SLMS, said, with all the obstacles after 2 years due to the COVID-19 lockdown, yet again for the 4th consecutive year, the SLMA Young Brigade put up a magnificent show. He said the money raised at the event will be distributed to the association's charitable causes.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are. Download the NSB Pay app from the Play Store or the App Store for free now. For more information, call your nearest NSB branch or 0112 379 379. Conditions apply.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Peta Business Association Secretary Chaminda Vidanagamage says traders and consumers have to make sacrifices and bear with the new regulation on cash margin for imports. He said it was imposed to support the economy during the current tough times until a certain amount of stability has been restored. He says his association members understand the needs of the country and are ready to make sacrifices until the economy is back on track.
Business News, Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Top companies of the apparel sector highlighted the industry's prioritization of employee safety through the adoption of and adherence to comprehensive health measures. At a virtual webinar organized by the American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka, they assured that over 90% of employees have been partially vaccinated and 70% have been fully vaccinated. They said all the companies are going above and beyond in adhering to the health and safety guidelines, seeking to provide the maximum possible protection to employees. The event took place with the members of the top management from the Hydramani Group, Mars Holdings, Brandix Group and Star Garments Group.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report.
The Met Department says showers will occur at several places in the Sabaragamu and Western provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the northern, north central, Uva and eastern provinces after 2 p.m. The Met Department also requests the general public to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The World Health Organization commends Sri Lanka has long surpassed its vaccination target. The Foreign Minister recalls Sri Lanka is committed to the values, principles and objectives of the Commonwealth throughout its history. Strict guidelines on value-added services have been issued to mobile operators. A consignment of 20 railway passenger coaches supplied by Rail India reached the Colombo port. Plans are underway to fully vaccinate all the academic and non-academic staff of all the universities in Sri Lanka. And underprivileged Afghans are selling their household items in the second-hand goods market.